$1 trillion. Now, to me, that sounds like an almost inconceivable amount of money. But according to an article on Statistica.com, Global Pharmaceutical Industry Statistic and Facts, global pharmaceutical revenue exceeded that amount for the first time in 2014. The term Big Pharma has become synonymous with an industry that charges an arm and a leg for life saving medication and prioritizes profits over patients' lives. It is an industry that Senator Ron Wyden described as morally disgusting during a congressional hearing yet this year. As social outrage abounds regarding the price of prescription medications, it is time to hold the pharmaceutical company industry accountable for push and for change. This is a topic I researched extensively for a project last semester and I feel very strongly about. During the course of the speech, I will cover the statistics surrounding Big Pharma, its spending habits, and discuss the impact of rising drug costs and why it's important that there is a change in policy. As dependent college students, you may still be covered by your parents' insurance, which is a huge benefit when assessing the potential cost for a prescription. That's not going to last forever, though. In the near future, you'll find yourself solely responsible for your own health care. If you are unfortunate enough to not have coverage, you may find yourself paying an arm and a leg for out-of-pocket expenses in your medications, and let me tell you, it's not cheap. It's estimated that patients on a typical dose of Humira, which is an anti-inflammatory drug used to treat things like arthritis and psoriasis, end up paying around 40,000 American dollars per year for this drug after rebates, which is a little less than a Tesla Model 3 or the approximate cost of a Ford F-150. According to an article in the New York Times titled Humira's best-selling drug formula, start at price, go higher. That price is nearly 100% increase from the $19,000 price tag of 2012. Humira is just one example of astronomical prices. Martin Scorsese and the drug Daraprim is another good example. Upon his purchase of the patent for Daraprim, Mr. Scorsese of Tutoring Pharmaceuticals took that price from a $1,350 a dose to $750, an increase of nearly 500%. Many would argue that the high price of prescription drugs is a necessary evil if it means funding the research for new medications and cures. This reasoning is true to some extent. Per a 2017 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, when total industry research costs are added up, it is about $80 billion a year. That leaves companies approximately $40 billion in revenue from the top 20 drugs alone. The industry would have us to believe that it was invested back into research and development. In the article titled Big Pharma's Go-To Defense of Soaring Drug Prices Doesn't Add Up, published in The Atlantic, when we look at the 25 worldwide companies that lead the pack in research and development spending, only 7 of them are pharmaceutical companies. In fact, the number one spender on research and development is Amazon. Yet they keep their profit margins under 5%. Pharmaceutical companies spend astronomical amounts on marketing and sales when it comes to pushing their drugs. The bulk of spending is directed at doctors and healthcare providers. It is used to wine and dine them to push the company's drugs away from their competitors. According to a study titled Medical Marketing in the United States from 1997 to 2016, published in JAMA Internal Medicine, companies spend nearly $30 billion on marketing. Of that, 68% is spent on doctors, while the other 32% is spent on public ads. The impact of these rising costs is seen in how patients are rationing their medications. According to a study in the Journal of Clinical Oncology, 13% of cancer patients did not buy the approved drugs if they had a copay of $10 a month, while 67% did not buy them if they had to pay more than $2,000 or more. Another study showed that 25% of diabetic patients self-diagnose their insulin because of cost. This trend in self-diagnosing is catching up with patients in the worst way possible. In June of 2017, Alec Rashawn Smith, age 26, was found by his mother on the kitchen floor of their apartment next to an empty vial of insulin, suffering from diabetic ketosis. He was out of insulin and his blood had turned acidic, which caused organ failure. 2 months prior, Octavia, a 22-year-old, not much older than you, was found by her mother under near identical circumstances. These medications were prescribed for a very specific reason, and skipping doses or not taking the meds at all is counterproductive to the management of illness and is having disastrous effects in some cases. In conclusion, by continuing to allow incentivized sales as we devalue patient health and set a precedence for car salesman-like practices, it is clear from recent years that harsher stances are being taken by government officials, as evident in the congressional panel held in February of this year, but it is a lack of follow-through that needs change. Instead of allowing pharmaceutical companies to stonewall proceedings and continue to do as they please, we need to hold them accountable. We need to push for true reform. Thanks to medication patents, and aggressive marketing, Big Pharma has skewed the industry in favor of their wallets as opposed to patient lives. They have flaunted the excess that high prices fund future research for upcoming years, yet more and more we see that this is far from the truth. As a nation, we deserve to pay acceptable prices for medication and not have to skip doses or stretch our prescriptions. By requiring the government to take an aggressive stance in favor of pharmaceutical reform, we will protect American lives and wallets. It is time to end the reign of Big Pharma. Thank you.